right, good morning. Today I'm going to answer your guys' questions. Last week we had a little session where you could ask me anything you wanted down in the comments, and this week I am going to answer them. So let's go ahead and get started. My first question is, what type of house batteries do you have? AGM, lithium, etc. How many, and has there been many issues? So right below here is where I have my batteries. I have 3 AGM batteries. They're 12-volt marine batteries. Last year I added the 3rd battery. I originally started with just 2, and it wasn't quite enough storage or enough to run everything when I upgraded my fridge. So now I have 3, and I have 200 watts on the roof, but I would say it's not enough to keep 3 batteries charged. Some days I run out of power just because if there's a few clouds, it won't get those all the way charged. So I should have more wattage to keep those going. So far, I have not had any issues with the batteries. It is kind of a pain in the butt, you know, with the AGM battery or lead acid battery, you know, you can only use this much of the whole battery. So if you have the extra money, if you can afford it, I would definitely go with the lithium battery, lithium ion battery. It weighs so much less. I have my 3 batteries on this side and my 16-gallon water holding tank all on one side of the van. So I was a little bit worried about that if it's, you know, it's a lot of weight. So if you could go with the lithium ion, way less in weight if you're worried about that, but you know, it's so much more capacity. You can use the whole thing all the way down, and you might have a little bit of issue with some refrigerators. They have some sensors that will say, like, you know, shut off so it doesn't wear your battery all the way dead, and with a lithium ion battery it's not used to it being able to be discharged completely, or, you know, most of the way. So there's a little bit of issues sometimes with some appliances, but I think I would go with one if I had to redo it again. The AGM is like the second choice, and then your regular lead acid is like your last choice. Since mine are inside, I wanted the sealed ones. Okay, next question. After you move and get settled, will you still be posting videos? We will. It's going to be different, and I honestly have no clue how I'm going to deal with it. I probably will take you guys along with for the move and settling, and we're still going to be doing weekend outings, you know, maybe something over the winter. I still got to do travels just to see family, you know, like at Thanksgiving time. Am I going to be going back to Lake Michigan? You know, there's still going to be a lot of stuff going on, and there's a lot of cool things to see in the area that we're going to be in that we really want to look at. Let's see, what else? What do you and your daughter are going to not miss about van life? What are we not going to miss about van life? I would say the bathroom issues and a little bit of the kitchen. Bathroom, just because sometimes you can't take a shower, it's windy, it's cold, there's too many people around, or whatever, and it's not always convenient to go somewhere and pay and stuff, so maybe you don't take as many showers, and the bathroom isn't always as easy to use. You know, you got to get things set up and stuff, and you know, you have to kind of make do. So those things we won't really miss. With the kitchen, I would say I try not to wash dishes, you know, like the old-fashioned way with soap and water, but I don't have a great water tank, and I didn't have space for it. And when I first built the van, it was kind of, not say primitive, but I couldn't do everything I wanted. So I don't have a gray water holding tank, and that gets a little bit irritating. If you do have to wash a pan, something gets stuck on there, then you have that water that you have to dump out somewhere else. Okay, moving right along, that person also asked what is going to happen to your videos of van life. And here's a little bit of information that I didn't mention. We're not really moving into like a big house or anything. We're kind of moving into a tiny house. We're moving to 400 square feet. So not going to be a whole lot of space. The van is going to be right next to the house. I probably will be still using it I don't know. So it's gonna be a fun little adventure. We'll just see how everything goes. All right, another question is, did you get those great legs from your mother's side of the family or your father's side? Well, you know what? I think it's just my lifestyle. I work my butt off. I have a very clean diet, so I don't have a whole lot of body fat. And I don't sit on my butt a lot. I am very active and stuff, so I think it's mainly my lifestyle. And actually, I'm not really in shape right now. I haven't ridden a bike for months. I haven't done any yoga. I'm actually not in shape, and I can't wait to get back into a routine and be able to go out on a bike ride every day and do exercise and, take more time for yourself. So right now it's just kind of a rush. All right, let's see. Okay, this question is a really good question, and it is a very complicated question to answer. If I had to do it all over again, would I still go with a diesel engine? It's like a love-hate relationship with the Sprinter van. It really is. And some days I'm just like, oh my God, I want to get rid of it. Why is it doing this? I thought we had this all fixed. And then some days I'm like, this thing drives great. I just love it. So what are the pluses and minuses? Well, the Sprinter van costs more to maintain. It has 13 or so quarts of oil in its engine, so it costs more just to even change its oil. And if you're not familiar, if you can't do a basic oil change yourself and you have to take it somewhere, it's going to cost more. So the basic overall maintenance of it costs more. It has the diesel exhaust thing, which, as you know, I'm fighting with all the time and trying to make sure it's working because it is a huge part of the van. And so I fight with that part. The newer stuff, it's got electronics and sensors go out all the time and warning lights come on and this and that. I would say, sometimes I really, really wonder if I should have gotten one. But what I see as the problem is this was a fleet-maintained vehicle, a fleet vehicle. So I thought it would have good records. It had been into the shop. I found, one of the dealers that it had been into. So I thought it would be well-maintained, and it was not. So for the first year, I have been playing catch-up on its maintenance and replacement of parts that are starting to fail. So I think if you found one and you wanted this type, that it has to have good records. It has to be well maintained. If it is kept up on its schedule maintenance, I think it'll be a very good vehicle for you. It's very solid. I take it on super rough roads. I have no problem with power. It is a V6. It has a turbo 3.0, and I just zoom up the mountains. No problem ever. And as you know, I have solar panels that have all kinds of drag to them. I have tons of wood, tile. We have all kinds of stuff, and it didn't change my fuel mileage at all. So the positives with it is plenty of power. I get 19.5 miles per gallon all the time. If I am going into a heavy headwind, I'll get 17. If I am going with the jet stream and staying at 55 miles per hour, I could get 21. So it costs more to maintain, but you get a lot of power. And it doesn't feel like I overloaded the van. I load it up. I have tons of stuff in every little cubby, and it doesn't feel overloaded. So that is, it has plenty of power, gets good fuel mileage, but it's a lot more complicated to work on. And, so I would say 60% of the time, I would still go with this exact same vehicle. The only thing I would change was making sure that I found one that for sure was serviced correctly, because it had lots of things wrong. And if I would have had to take that to a dealer, it would have cost $10,000 to fix everything. From the injectors were leaking, and I don't think the fuel filter was ever changed. And, stuff was gummed up from using the wrong stuff because we were still learning. When we first got it, we didn't use the right stuff. So just kind of, if you have any knowledge on these kind of vehicles, would be a lot of help. So lots of pluses and minuses. It's really a preference. Rear wheel drive, some of the gas ones are front wheel drive. You know, that was just a deciding factor, but I've had no issues with rear wheel drive. I've never lost control over it. I've never gotten stuck, and I've learned how to drive and, you know, not hit bumps like that or you just drag. But so I'm going to keep my van. I like it, and you know, I'm going to continue keeping it for as long as I can and keep having great adventures in it, and hopefully not break down. It's been more than a year since I broke down, and I have parts that fail, you know, but you're able to get it through and not break down on the side of the road. So I hope that helps a little bit with the decision. It's kind of a complicated one. Really depends on your preference and what you find that's available. All right, I got to finish up. I get too long here. My last question is, how do we decide where we go? Well, we have kind of a general bucket list of an area that we want to go to and things we want to see, but the number one deciding factor is weather. We're off grid. We're off grid all the time. I don't want to use air conditioning or heat, so I try to stay 60 to 75 degrees all year round. I use a little bit of heat because in the summer we're up in the mountains, in the winter, you know, it gets in the 40s, maybe 30s, but weather is our main deciding factor. So as it warms up in the winter and we start to go, you know, we get out of the southwest because it's starting to warm up. And but that is that, and we have things we want to see, so we try to plan it along with the weather. And we love living off grid and not having to use air conditioning or heat. It makes it a cheap way to live, and that's how we decide mainly where we're going to go and where we're going to leave, and time it with the weather. All right, so that is all the questions that I have for today. I hope that was a fun little exercise that we had, and thanks for watching. I got to get back to work. I have 2 weeks left before we are heading back to New Mexico and moving to the Eco Village. Woo! We are just kind of scared and nervous, and can I get everything done? And oh my God. All right, so see you in the next video.